I don't think the phone is the problem. It's like how people use it, you know?
What would be your red flags and green flags for a party?
I think people just need to mind their own lives. You don't have to go all out in drugs and alcohol to have a good night where you can let go. It's more about letting go of your issues, your worries, like dancing your traumas out on the dance floor.
What do you believe are the biggest barriers to inclusivity in club culture today?
But then for me, it's not the alcohols and drugs, because someone who does that when they're drugged and drunk, they would do that when they're sober.
Exactly.
Like the alcohol and the drugs to me only exacerbates who you already are.
Like commercialization versus culture kind of thing. Ooh. Do you think social media is lowering the quality of nightlife or artists?
I don't think social media is doing it. I think curators that select their DJs for their lineup based on followers are. For example, playing Agustin last year, right before Nelly Furtado. Oh, amazing, a dream come true.
Incremental exposure now of female DJs, and I think they are being sexualized in most of the scenes.
In most places, yes.
What advice would you give to young people that is going through a similar process? Question for you, do you think Switzerland could be the new hub of electronic music?
I think it already is, in its own way.
Hello everyone. Before we jump into the first episode, I just wanted to say a few words. Oxydian is a project I've been working on for a while, and it's a podcast and events label focused on electronic music, club culture, the scene, and the people that makes it what it is. I want this to be a place for real conversations with artists, with DJs, with music industry professionals, not only to talk about electronic music, but to talk also about its challenges and the actual scene and how we can make it better all together. For this first episode, I had the pleasure to talk with an amazing artist who is an advocate for queer rights in the electronic music scene. So I think this is a pretty interesting first episode of the podcast. So without further ado, let's watch the first episode. Oh, and don't forget to comment, like, and share if you liked it, so you can support this project and we can move on. So yeah, with that said, ciao!
So yeah, we are here today with Hausvrau. It's an honor to have you at the Oxydian Podcast. You are somebody that embodies what the values from Oxydian are. You are DJ, you are drag, you are painter, dancer, definitely a multidisciplinary artist who is fighting for queer movements and supporting the whole scene. So yeah, tell us a bit about you. How are you as a person? Who were you in school, for example? And how did you enter like the electronic music scene?
Oof, okay. A lot of questions. Spal, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
I think it's important that we have some kind of music journalism happening and to discuss those topics. And to have them made public somehow and accessible for others to join the conversation. So, yeah, I thought the idea was super nice. It's a pleasure to be the first guest.
Thank you very much.
Okay, a little bit about me. Yes, I like to do lots of stuff. I am very... cannot stay quiet for long, or sometimes I'm even trying to do less and trying to chill, but then that project shows up and it's like, I really want to do this. I thought that I just go and get myself involved in something else. So I'm very curious, very interested in doing new things and working in new formats. Yeah.
Okay, and how was your version from now different from your version of high school, for example?
I think it is a sum up of everything. I think that as a child, I used to paint a lot, and then I got into dance, and then after that, I got into drag, and then I got into electronic music, and then I was producing events, and was already choreographing back when I was a dancer and dance teacher. So this idea of like creating a show, creating a whole choreography and set of people in a room led me also to producing performances and things like this for myself. So I think in a way it connects a lot because it was what I was watching as a child. So like pop star performances, the Oscars, the Grammys, and the beautiful gowns and everything. I'm also very into fashion. I love to dress up. I love to come up with ideas and looks. And I think this interest, this curiosity that I always had ended up, I would say now they are in a more unified place where I think I know better the directions I want to go and what are the references I want to follow and the things that make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think I've been capturing them for a long time. Like yesterday, actually, I was watching Salt, which is this spy movie with Angelina Jolie.
Okay.
And it was bad to like remember that, yes, I love Angelina Jolie and I love those spy movies with like female leads, you know, like women in action movies. I grew up with Charlie's Angels, also Totally Spies as a TV show. Destiny Child also had this like warrior energy sometimes in their music videos. So I think that idea, Lara Croft as a video game. So all of those things kind of like, it's a point of reference that I go back to a lot, you know. So there's a lot from this video game player, child, teenager that remains in me through my references.
So being such a multidisciplinary artist means that you can bring a lot of inspiration from different topics and sectors.
Yes, I try sometimes even when I'm thinking about a performance, like how can I blend the soundtrack a bit more like a DJ set? And then I'm like, okay, but now how can I completely break it and take it out of rhythm as if it was a choreography, as if it was a sequence of movement. So you have this build up and then a break, and then it goes into something completely else, and then it's an ambient track or something like this. So I think I do bring a lot of like, especially modes of constructing things from one, because sometimes what you do exactly doesn't translate, but what is the form translates. So I think that's something I do a lot.
So so it would be like taking the audience into a journey, no?
Yeah.
It's a musical journey and so on.
I think also because for me with for example, what you asked before about how did I get into electronic music, I think that was the fun in electronic music, like listening to the song and being like, I'm going somewhere. I've always been a kid to be on the dance floor, and so I was like very young and like families, marriage parties and stuff. Like you would always find me on the dance floor. I was like 5 or something.
Some of my family members, they had their own class and stuff, and also like at home we will do like family parties, and I would always be on the music equipment, like putting up the volume and choosing the music.
I was never the music equipment. Don't get it wrong. I was not at all.
Okay.
I was dancing. I was having a good time. I was like, whatever fun you music puts, I'm gonna vibe. But no, I think it was a very important thing that took me in this direction of like really vibing with the music, really letting go with the music. And then as a dancer later, I've danced to orchestras and I've danced to live DJs and I've danced to recorded music of all kinds. So to do also jazz, ballet, contemporary dance, neoclassical performance, sometimes you work with noise or silence. So all of that, or text, and so I think there's also broadened a lot of the space in my mind. And I've always also written songs, a songwriter as well. So I think many times I wouldn't have an instrumental to it, but I could sometimes imagine what that could sound like. And I started also doing my own edits for choreographies, as I was a dancer first. So by doing that, I started learning a bit better how like the mixing could happen in a fade out into something else. So yeah, I think that was a starting point from other careers also, and then he getting into electronic music. A lot of summer electro hits from the 2000s. That's what my parents were listening to.
Yeah, Blake was listening to that anyway.
Yes, Raz. I don't want to work today. Maybe I just sort of like all those songs. It's so good. I honestly, Bob Sinclair.
Classic.
Classic.
Would you say the nightlife is somehow missing performances? As in, like, for example, contemporary dance performances between shows or things like this, more than just DJ set after DJ set. You know what I mean? Because, for example, at Oxydian, something we're planning to do with the events is to like bring also performances and stuff, so people can connect a bit more with the actual show or what we plan to do, rather than just go to a place and forget about everything else. You know, like where the hedonism culture blurs the background of the project or so on. You know,
I think I have also a mode of working, especially with dance, because of how I was raised in this. I think of doesn't matter who is the public or how many. I gotta perform to my best.
Yeah.
You know, even if my best that day is 50% because I was sick or whatever, but what is the best I can give today and to deliver that, independent of the public? And I think that is also a part of the artist's not only duty with the audience and like respect for its audience, but also with themselves.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter who is my public, I'm going to perform to the best of my ability. Because whoever comes to see, if it's 3 or if it's 20, those or 20 is such a small number. But if it's 3 or if it's 2,000, they all deserve the same amount of quality from my work, you know? So I think that in that sense, it didn't faze me much what the situation was. Also, I've worked a lot as a performer in the nightlife in my own events, a Fagdom. So I am
we don't talk about that now.
So I am used to that, but I don't know if I would say that we need more. I think it's also a matter of choice. You know, I think it could be very interesting to have more spaces that do this format. And I think there are still a few. Also similar formats like Queer Ball, it's a much more structured thing. There's a voting and but you have drag performances in between DJ sets, you know, up until a certain point in the evening, and then it's just DJs.
Yeah.
So I think also as someone who curated events like this, it is difficult sometimes, especially because we would invite guest performers with a white canvas, with a white card, just like carte blanche, go ahead and do whatever you want to do. You got a half an hour slot, you know, but then we never knew what that would be. And I think there is a different energy in the space when people are very attentive still, when they know there's another performance coming. So I feel like people that come and are also interested in the whole evening, not only the DJs, but the DJs and the performers, they keep a level of like, oh, I have to be awake for that. You know, you don't really let go completely on the hedonism, as you mentioned.
Exactly.
But I don't think the hedonism is necessarily bad.
No.
I think we need to remember also, I see it very much as like being at the club and letting go and having fun with your friends is a privilege we have nowadays.
Yes.
And not everybody does. I think it's an important space of like, because everyone should be having the right to rest and to having fun with their friends. You know, it's not that we shouldn't have it because other people don't.
Yeah.
But like, what do we make of it? Because other people don't have this basic privilege. It should be of basic access that everyone can once in a while rest, you know? And there are genocides going on in the world right now. So lots of people don't have that. So I see it as like, okay, tonight I'm going to let go. I'm going to go crazy in this club. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to look good. I'm going to da-da-da-da. So then I can rest. So then I can let go of my everyday issues. So that I can let go of that work issue, of the basic whatever issue. And then get back the next day and be like, okay, how can I be of service to my community? Because I've rested. I've enjoyed myself. I've had time for me. Now that I'm recharged, how can I give back to my community? I think that is also for me an interesting point in having a night where you're a bit more not caring if there's a performance or not, bitch. How free night. What if a gift? and then not care about tomorrow. Like, you need those nights. I have those nights with more specific friends that I don't work in the club with, but people I know from dance. Also, they're both Brazilians. They're my closest friends, Pamela and Adelson. Some of my closest friends. I have many good friends. Very lucky in that. And when I'm with them, it's very much like, whatever happens tonight, happens tonight. Like, we're not holding back. We're just having fun.
Yeah.
And I think those are important, to have those moments where you can relax for a second. But what do you do afterwards with that recharged energy?
I also think, like, even though you can practice that, you are very self-aware of what's going on, how you actually acting. You might have the feeling of like letting go and not overthink anything, but when you're too focused on that, the other things like the culture from the club or the concept or the idea can be blurred, or even like things like sexual harassment, like when people is off their eyes with drugs and alcohol and stuff, like they have this mentality of like, I don't care anymore, nothing worries anymore. So yeah, I think hedonism is a great form of living, but I think it has to be somehow regulated too, and it's not like you have to tell people to not have fun or anything like that. It's just like small initiatives or things to make people a bit more self-aware.
I agree, but I also must say, like, when we think about the club, we're doing our best for a safer space, for a space where it feels a little bit more like, okay, we're good here. All the people that are here, we see each other and we're safe.
Yeah.
But I think it's also naive to think this is something that the club can solve.
Yeah.
Because I believe, as you were mentioning, drugs and alcohol and stuff, because a crazy night doesn't have to have that much drugs and alcohol and stuff. I'm someone who tries to drink less and less now.
Yeah.
Because I don't like hangovers. And, then after being 22 for a couple of years, it starts being difficult in the morning after. So it's also, for me, it's very much in the sense of like mentally, because sometimes I am at the club and I also work at a club if I'm in transformation, for example. So I will pay attention to something, or I will take someone's shift if needed, or, there's a different awareness even when I'm at the club, because being a night worker, a part of it for me is work. I try to have fun. I am a work hard, play harder girl. No. The people that know me know me.
Exactly.
But I until I get to the play harder, I'm normally, if you see me in days that I have a set somewhere I never did, or if it's a festival, if it's not a place, then I'm already like chill with the team. And even then, many times I'm like, okay, no, for this set, I really want to go off and like deliver something good. I don't drink that much before I play. If I'm going to drink more, I will drink more later. I also don't smoke right before I play. So there's a few things that I do also to be like, okay, I got to deliver a good work here. I don't want to be like completely out of myself and I know what I'm DJing. So I think there is also this level of professionalism and concentration. And even in this hedonistic stage, you don't have to go all out in drugs and alcohol to have a good night where you can let go. It's more about letting go of your issues, your worries, like dancing your traumas out on the dance floor, dance your heartbreak out on the dance floor, dance your grief out on the dance floor, because we are all going through a lot of grief. So I think it's more about using that space as a space of liberation. And I think that a huge part of electronic music, if you look also like vocal house and house from the 80s, especially in vocal house, and the close relationship between house and gospel, and the groups that do gospel house, and you have all those messages about love each other, about like be there for one another. And I don't think if you are in an evening that you're letting go because you're feeling that community safety, that community care, it's necessarily blurring anything of the value of the music, because a lot of the culture is also about, this is the space to relax. You don't go to a funeral to relax. So there are different spaces that call for different things. So I think also, I don't like to intellectualize the club too much, because it has to still be a space of fun. Because if you think about the people that are coming to the club because they work a very difficult shift every day and stuff, and they just want to let go, they should have the right to. And it's difficult, I agree, when you think about like sexual harassment and people that are just overall annoying. I think everyone should have the basics of like, don't do this, don't dance on top of people. I am someone that is very quickly annoyed. I love being a DJ because I have my booth. It's actually safe, you know? I also hate that. But then for me, it's not the alcohols and drugs, because someone who does that when they're drugged and drunk, they would do that when they're sober.
Exactly.
Like the alcohol and the drugs, to me, only exacerbates who you already are. So if you are a respectful person, you will remain a respectful person. And if you're not, there's some stuff that you need to watch out, you know?
100%.
So I wouldn't blame it on the drugs and the drinking. And that's why I said, like, I don't think the club can solve that, because it's a bigger issue within society.
Yeah.
That people just have to have a bit more of like awareness.
But I think clubs and nightlife can contribute to this awareness.
100%. But there's a limitation, because I feel like sometimes there is this expectation of like, oh, the club said it's a safer space and I am in heaven, I can do anything. No, babes, it's still a club and we're still trying to be as open as possible to have everyone here. That whole sentence of like, in the club, we all fam? No. I disagree with it completely. We not all fam. I don't know a lot of y'all here.
Yeah.
So we're not all fam. I'm down to have a good night with you. A respectful night. You have your night. I have my night. We're in the same space. If we get to meet and you're nice, lovely. But we're not fam. I don't know you like that. I'm not inviting you to my house. You know? Like, because to me, fam was people you would invite to your house
In your life every day. And
I'm not inviting the people at the club to my house.
yeah.
You know? And so we're not all fam. People need to, learn some manners. Just basic.
So, talking about events, what is Factum?
What is Fagdom? Okay. Fagdom was an event I co-organized with a cat. And that's how they go by now.
Okay.
And Lambert, two very close people to me. And it was a project that went on from 2019 until 2023, I believe, was our last edition. We've produced a book out of it in our last edition. Yeah, we have a book. It has, I think, 4 essays. We also did a session talking about our old flyers and just kind of interviewed ourselves.
Curious.
To see what would be interesting in those flyers, or tell some small stories from back in the day. Then we also had, I think, an essay from Kuchet, an essay from me. Slumber, I think, also did an essay also talking about the workshops we've held, like darkroom workshops. We normally had some kind of exhibition or political event as an opening of the night, and then the DJs into later on.
How did that work out?
It worked out very well, I think, and we always had performers, at least one or two guests, and I performed, I think, in all the editions.
Because, for example, I think like if a club is not busy at the first few hours of the night, maybe when they host a talk, for example, that person is talking for nobody almost.
No, we normally always had quite a big. I think with the first events, also we started very small. In a basement somewhere in Zurich.
That's how everything starts.
You know. And we started with like lots of our friends wanting to come and see what we were doing. And we had pictures hang from artists from Iran. And I think we did also another exhibition with an artist from Iran and an artist from Brazil, where we covered all the costs of production of the photography work. And send to them all the profit, you know. So like that was our way also of doing activism through the party, through the club.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked well. We had a public, like quite a strong public. I think up until today, sometimes people talk to me and they're like, "Is Factum ever coming back?" And I'm like, "I don't think so. I don't know."
Why did Factum come out?
Why? Okay.
Let's go dig into it.
That's a funny story. That was, I think, my birthday party, or that's how I remember. I think there were a conjunction of things. Ari Kurskat was already involved in organizing events, and I think already had an idea in the direction of like doing something with a very interesting music curation lineup, but also there was a very queer space for safety, for like being able to flirt and listen to good music, you know, because there was a bit of a vacuum at the time when we started. And I think for me, there was very much this birthday party of mine in 2018, because I knew I was leaving Europe for a while. I was like, yeah, I want to have a good house party. Everyone come in your best outfits. I want y'all dressed up. This is a party.
Oh, wow.
And it was so much fun. And then I was like, make this an event. Like, we need to make this for people. But then we did it once in Brazil when Ari came to visit me there in the beginning of 2019, called House of Martini in my hometown, Jundiaí, in Brazil. Booked only friends to perform and to DJ. It was mostly drag performances. And I myself performed, and that was my first DJ gig.
Damn.
Because we were missing someone on the lineup, and I'm like, I could like do it. And then I've learned in the week of playing my first set. That was a whole moment that I think a friend of mine, as the DJ, came from the back, was dancing, and then just came, okay. So the client put the bass up or something. I was like, oh, you know, so yeah, like I'm over thanks. The first time playing, I think the first 1 hour set I did was the night before. Like, yeah, being on stage.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, but I'm very like, I throw myself at things before I know in detail how to do things.
Yeah.
I try, I experiment, and then sometimes finding that technical barrier gets me a bit frustrated, and then I get blocked a little with certain things.
Fine.
But normally I just go for it and say, fuck it. I think also in dance, I already felt very constrained in a way, always being part of groups. So I had to do what someone else was choreographing as a work to have this as a career. That I wanted a space also where I could be free to choose.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that for me, in my selection, I think it shows a lot. I play when I want to play. I'm rarely following something, or I'm still fitting a theme, but very me, in a very unique way, because I'm not following to what the theme would normally call for. I'm like, okay, what is my point of view of that? How do I approach that? Or what within that theme or topic or a music style required, because it's a techno night or it's a ambient night, how would I do that? Not what is ambient, what is techno, but how would I do techno? How would I do
what
exactly?
Yeah. So, all right, let's dive into club culture, which is one of the topics we here to discuss. Clubs aren't just places for dancing and to forget who you are or what your life is about. There are also small worlds where people come together to express themselves, to feel free, to connect, to, escape or whatever. But as much as clubs are amazing, for me at least, there is always questions on how to evolve, and more mostly now with the fast society that we have, and it's constantly evolving and changing. So, for example, how would you say clubs can stay authentic while keeping up with trends or business things, like commercialization versus culture kind of thing?
Ooh, that is $1 million question.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the answer doesn't have to be the right one, it's just to see what you think or how you perceive it.
I don't know what the right answer is.
Probably there's no right answer,
But anyhow, someone that I've worked with in my dance career who said that once when in Brazil they had this new TV channel called Artur. And it was all day long. I already knew the channel when he mentioned. It was all day long, just like photography documentaries, or like there was even a little like news program where they went to like art exhibitions and the new stuff in the big museums, or something about the art world in Europe or something. So it was very informative. There was always something interesting going on, and if I was home, I would turn it on and watch whatever was on, like a photography, a documentary, an old silent movie, a dance performance, the news, an exhibition, dissertation, whatever, an interview program. And he was talking about this, and he was telling people, like, you need to go watch that, because as artists, as performers, you're giving something out, you're vomiting something out that you've digested. But if you're not eating anything, what are you vomiting? You know?
Fair enough.
If you're not filling yourself up with references and works that you look up to and things that you find interesting, and preferably good works. But then the question of good or bad, and rather, but like interesting, honest works that talk about interesting topics. That really, I think for me, good works are works that move, that can move a public. And I feel like now with algorithms and stuff, the public has been very diverted to be moved by certain things, and that gets very tricky because if a song that is maybe super mainstreamly produced, like following the formula and stuff, that maybe people that would consider themselves more evolved musically or knowing more, would think, oh yeah, that's just trash pop or whatever. But that is moving millions of people that feel some kind of connection to that feel. So it's like, how, there is how much the media directs us to space, but I think there is also like some truth to everything. I think a few works are more truthful to a vision, and a few works are just following a formula. Maybe that's a good distinction to make. I feel like some works have a more artistic point of view, and other works are a reproduction of what is known to be a certain style.
Yeah.
But I think there is a lot of space for authenticity, because I feel like there, as I said a few times, the word true or truth, like to things that make sense to you, because they're just like a way of preparing food on your plate that makes sense to you. People have those small quirks and things. So I feel like we miss also seeing artists that bring that something that feels like, oh, they really believe what they're doing. That really makes sense to them. So then you can join the ride.
So you mean like the artist has to believe in it, and also that other people can believe in it too? Or express it that way so people can believe?
Preferably believe, not just express them.
Yeah.
Because it also has to be fun for you as an artist.
Sure.
But yeah, I do believe that. I think if you don't believe what you're doing, then how can you expect that everyone's going to be moved by it,
Do you think social media is lowering the quality of nightlife or artists?
I don't think social media is doing it. I think curators that select their DJs for their lineup based on followers are. Let's name the people, because it's not social media that is forcing the club bookers to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're back at the the market versus the culture question. How do you keep a club open if you're also not bringing big names? But there are big names that are doing amazing work.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm still saying that.
Yeah, I think it's more about...
But there is a huge increase on bookers booking DJs that are successful on social media, but maybe the skills or the techniques that they have are terrible, and maybe they don't even have an image or a message behind or a concept. It's just like an image of a product that works well and sells well. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm mostly not working with those books. So...
Smart. But this is actually a thing that is going on in the scene, and those people are the ones also managing the biggest venues or events, So this is like, they are kind of helping people go in one direction, but the wrong one maybe.
I think I'm someone who likes to try and keep my work into my scope of influence.
Yeah.
So I am not someone to necessarily be on the streets, because that gives me also a lot of anxiety for any kind of manifestation. And I think, in a way, I talk about it every chance I have. Every time I'm a guest on something where I get a microphone, where I get a chance to speak. My work speak a lot of trans issues, of migrant issues. But I'm not going to the people that don't want to hear about it to talk about it. I'm talking to the people that are interested in taking the conversation further.
Mm-hmm.
Or, for example, with the TSEF, which is a place where I can do a more direct impact.
So for the people that don't know what the TEF is, please.
The TSEF is the Child Safety Emergency Fund, which started in 2021 in June,
Mm-hmm.
when a member from the former House of Poderosa, now Swiss chapter of the House of Lavaux, found those two trans women of color living on the streets of Zurich. And as part of Ballroom, we felt it was our duty to like try and help them somehow.
Yeah.
So we came up with this name, Child Safety Emergency Fund. 5 members from the house at the time were the original founders. And at first it was a flyer. We did a flyer in different formats, posted on our Instagram, posted on our stories. In 2 days, we raised an amount of money we did not expect. We were using my Twint to receive it. And my Twint got blocked. Yeah, there's a limit that can come in.
I was gonna say, maybe don't say that.
It was crazy. It was crazy. No, I mean, it's how it started. And the money didn't stay with me. It was really fun. But... And then with that, we helped those two trans women, and then we were like, okay, we should maybe start helping other people.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually we had to open an association to make everything legal and proper, and da-da-da. Now we function within the law, y'all. We've always did, but we just didn't know how the things were, but we've always been within the law.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have actually also a campaign going on. We're trying to gather 100 new monthly donors in 100 days. So until the 30th of April, gonna be, because we started on the 20th of January, so then it's 100 days.
What are the donating options for?
I think the minimum that is asked for is 3 francs. So you could literally donate like 5 francs a month.
Yeah.
And in our mind, also something that we talk about is if we get 100 new donors, donating 5
Mm-hmm.
a month, that's 500 more. And this money goes directly for all the people that ask us for help.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are in the global south. So like 500 Swiss francs can be a lot of money there. So this could maybe represent 1-2 more people that we could support, because we don't have enough fundings to support everyone that asks for help, unfortunately. And this is just saying that everyone donates 5, but a lot of people do 10 or 20. So if we have just a basic of like 5 or 10, that is already such a big support for us and for them, because this money goes directly to the applicant.
Absolutely. And the bigger the community, the lower the price that can be, So as more donors, then the prices are going to be even lower. So that's great. And it's also worldwide, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone could apply for it, and
anyone who identifies as trans, non-binary, or gender non-conforming in any way can apply for support. And applications open once a month, normally from the 1st to the 3rd.
Okay, so what else do we have left? Let's do a small game so we can let loose a little bit now. So I brought a mini game called Festival Fiction, which I will ask you to describe your dream festival with 3 random items or concepts. And just take your time, think about it, and surprise us, please.
Okay.
Let your creativity flow.
Also, like, Transtronica is very close to being my dream festival.
Okay, for the people that doesn't know,
I'm going to speak about it all the time. Transtronica is the first ever festival with a full trance lineup. It's an electronic music festival. It happened for the 3rd edition.
Mm-hmm.
This last weekend from now that we're recording, but when it comes out, a few weeks past. But the 24th and 25th of January, 2025 was the 3rd edition in Hamburg. 1st and 2nd edition were also in Hamburg. The event was organized by Céline Bouvard, also with the help of Mine Pleasure Bouvard. Elise is also another person working on the team now. Myself, with some kind of involvement, or always performing there. There was, I think, known on the Swiss music scene, Latina Plumber was playing this last edition. DJ Bone Black from Lausanne also played, I think, on the 2nd edition. Yeah, there's quite a few interesting artists like Mandla, who's performing normally at Fusion Festival, performed there in the first year. Nomi Ruiz. Well, I'm probably forgetting so many people.
So it's made by trans people for trans people?
Yes.
Isn't it specifically open to exclusively for trans people, or is it open
No,
to...
anyone can come
Yeah.
to see the festival, but
Yeah.
the lineup is exclusively, and most of the people on the team are all.
Makes sense.
So Transstratica is very close to being a dream festival, because I think one thing I would put is trans people at the forefront and in the leading positions.
Yeah.
That would be one thing for my dream festival. That everyone comes dressed up. The public needs to be on their best outfit.
Okay.
I miss, and not just some harness on. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Yeah.
That would make it. That will cut.
That's already so
Last
year.
I will bitches dressed up, you know. And I want a festival, because I missed that a bit in the club, and maybe that's Instagram's fault and social media with like having to look cute and stuff, and also for flirting.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like back in the day when social media wasn't that big, it was much more acceptable to be sweaty as hell in the clubs, because you've been dancing a lot, and like sweaty people hooking up with sweaty people. And I know it's not the cutest, I get it all, but I miss that, honestly. Like, I miss when the club, when it felt hot, but it was like, oh my god, everyone's sweating a little, because like it's so fun, you know. I miss that, and I feel, yeah, that's something I would wish.
All right, I'm gonna make your question later that is related to this, actually. So your three things is trans lineup, and people dressing up, and
A sweaty dance floor.
okay, sweaty.
Like, when the place is so steamy that there's like drops from the ceiling. Like, I miss that.
Okay.
I really miss that. I like small clubs. I like a tight club. Yeah.
So let's do a quick round of short questions. Yes or no, phones on the club? Phones, pictures, videos in the club? Yes or no?
Why not? I don't need to control everyone's small action. Just don't be taking pictures of other people, but like take your selfies with your friends in the bathroom, film the DJ and send me the videos. But you shouldn't be on your phone all the time.
Exactly.
I don't think the phone is the problem. It's like how people use it, you know?
I think there's a balance between being able to use your phone and just be there in the event for the images. And
Also, Carly, don't lose your phone. Don't lose your phones in the club, y'all.
yeah.
Know where it is. If it's safe, don't lose your phones in the club.
Okay, so
Yeah, why not?
phone policy, maybe. We'll see. Shirtless people in the club? Yes or no?
Alright, because that comes from Brazil, from Carnival,
Yeah.
you know, so if it's summer and you're in the global south
Mm-hmm.
and it's a pool party,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, like in the clubs here in Europe, I would keep the shirt.
I think for survival,
Even with survival, like I feel like we have tira, camisa, tira. So like the song asks the people to take off, you know?
yeah.
So there's also that, but I would say mostly keep it on.
Okay.
Keep it on until the moment really calls for it. Keep it on.
Because, you know, you've heard this whole discussion about cis male taking off the t-shirts while
Oh yeah, this
female cannot, and then if they do, they
no,
feel
this-
sexualized.
if I'm talking about like someone taking the shirt off, everyone taking the shirt off.
Exactly.
Like also affect them. We had one time closing with DJ Sirenesa,
Mm-hmm.
my sibling, love him. They were screaming on the mic, I want to see all the femmes topless, all the femmes to the front. It was amazing. I wanted more people to be topless, you know? So there is moments for everything, but this man, please keep your shirt on.
Yeah. Food options available in the club? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it's cute.
I'm a smoker girl.
Yeah, and
I would love to get a piece of pizza inside.
right, or like anyway, like most people when they go clubbing.
In Transformation used to have on Saturday nights the crêperie open until 5 a.m. That was fun.
Right, because
Like,
anyway,
in the middle of the club night before you see the last DJ, you go get a crash. Oh my god.
And when people is doing it after the club, they always go to fucking some kebab or something.
Yeah.
So, hey,
Yeah.
clubs think this as an income instead of tickets and stuff, like.
But food, also to prepare food, it's a lot of cost.
Yeah, but I'm not.
And it's a lot, but also do you want to have just trash food? Because then they need to have all the sanitary things. Like when you think about a venue, it's a bit more complicated. I know it's not that simple to just,
Yeah, for sure.
but food is not normally the big income.
Yeah, I know. But it's just an extra too,
I get it if the clubs don't have it, but if y'all find a way.
And it's not like you have to make a Michelin star plate or anything, like some sandwiches or some stuff.
I want to like a burger, like some vegan options for the vegans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A good hot dog, like in Brazil we call it podrão.
Mm-hmm.
Like those places, those like trailers that just sell the big burgers and stuff outside of universities and stuff like that. I would love that. I miss that. Which is very my Brazil experience. I like going to get coxinha, the club. Oh.
Yeah, that sounds like life. Vinyl or digital?
Digital.
Sure, I think it.
I love vinyls. I think it's an incredible art form.
Yeah.
I am not.
We talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a round. Quick round.
Oh.
And so let's jump now into inclusivity. Something very important for us is inclusivity in nightlives. Clubs are always been safe spaces for people, or initially has been safe places for people who didn't fit elsewhere. But there's still a lot of work to do and to make sure that everyone feels welcome and safe in these spaces, And also there's a lot of safe spaces that are not safe spaces, or that are not taking any initiatives or anything to make it real as a safe space, So I know you've been involved in creating more inclusive environments, and I'm curious to know what's working, what's not working, what needs to change. So for example, what do you believe are the biggest barriers to inclusivity in club culture today?
It's the difficult word to use because I don't think none of this is radical.
Yeah. Okay.
But a more radical approach.
Okay.
In the sense of, I don't think everything has to be accessible for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I really think that if I were to go back to organizing my own series of events, I would probably go for something that is trans exclusive, for trans people only.
Yeah.
Because I feel a different safety when I know I am in spaces run by trans people.
For sure.
So I think there is this thing of lineups have to be more inclusive.
100%.
Because those are the people that carry
the community.
They're the face of the club for that night, So I think that already shows, if I know. And I mean more inclusive also in the sense of people that actually make a difference. No shade. Because to have a queer person, but that never spoke up about being queer at all, and it was very fitting within compulsory cis heteronormativity, I'm not gonna necessarily feel compelled to come out, or trust that because that one person is there, that this is gonna be a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
There's also about bringing people that actually represent the community, getting involved with maybe community groups to like really check for the public, or like, what would you like to see? And to open those conversations so the club is more community built, and not only by the few people on top, or to have larger teams also where we can bring different topics and different visions into play. I think that is very important for any kind of establishment trying to be more inclusive, to also have an inclusive team, a larger group of people making decisions. Because easily when you have the decisions on the hand of one person, that things start going very specific, so to keep that openness and that the ears open, I think it's a very important point.
It's also kind of the artist's job, like to decide where to play. Because, for example, your audience, if you play in a mainstream club, which is really not a safe space, well, you probably wouldn't do that anyway, I guess. Because people might
I
think,
find it hard to. I think it's a bit of like blaming the victim to put the responsibility on the artist fully.
yeah, not fully.
Because some artists need to pay their bills at the end of the month, you know?
Mm.
And sometimes you are new in a city and you didn't know that that place would be that problematic. And not everyone has the time to like do a full-on research on every place they go. Some people are on the run. And I'm saying, because I'm one of those girls, like I do a lot of things. Some of them to keep my sanity, some of them to pay my bills, some of them to have a visa.
Yeah.
So I don't have all the time in the world that instead of resting or just smoking one and watching my favorite anime, I wouldn't take to like let me research. And maybe that's on me.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, also knowing of other struggling artists, especially trans artists, especially LGBTQIA plus artists, immigrant artists, Black artists, POC in general artists, I think it's a lot to demand that they are the ones responsible. We need that $200, $300, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think I agree. Like if you know the place is problematic, or I've been in situations where I knew of something happening within the club that I had an event and I was like, hey, I want to talk about it. That person's still working in the team. Is that like, I want to understand better the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm also at a point now where I can choose a bit better.
Yeah.
But I understand artists that are not in this position. And even sometimes, like I remember there was some talk about when Arca did a commercial for Calvin Klein or something. And a part of me thinks like I wouldn't go that far, I believe. No shade to Arca, because I'm also like, I wouldn't go that far, but I don't know what her bills are. I don't know if that was a beautiful check that she was like, I can buy myself a house and give a house to my mom or whatever. Like, I have no idea what was her situation. Or even like, bitch, that is the check that is going to pay my transition. I'm not going to judge a queer artist for taking a gig, you know? So I think I'm very like, yes, to be on the artist. Please pay attention to who you're working with. But at the same time, the artist many times is like a struggling artist that needs that. You know, I've accepted many times to be in lineups where I felt like a token, but because that money would be cute for me or that gig in my CV would be good for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. You know, like,
no, that's the struggle.
the facts are the facts.
Yeah, for sure. Now that's the struggle of most artists, you know. But let's say the case of a successful artist that is getting enough money to choose where they play or where they not play, you know.
Yeah.
I think it's part of their job to also choose the right places and work with the right people, you know, instead of just going for the business all the time. But yeah, this is
But then at this level, if you're at this level where you can start to choose, you're probably already starting to link up with some kind of team, you know, or hopefully. I think there's now more and more agencies out there in Switzerland, but also I have a personal agent. She's starting, Katie Omole from Okra Collective. Ahaba. And I know also that I'm safe with her because she's taking care of that. Whenever I get an invitation, she asks a few questions about the night, about how accessible it is, what are the prices of tickets, you know? So I know a bit better where I'm getting myself into. So I think then once you are at a point that you start having a team, that you start having this kind of structure, then it makes sense. Then there is a team or there is someone or you dedicate enough time for that you should do that research, you know. But still, I would not blame it on artists.
Okay. Which experiences did you have in a club environment that was particularly inclusive or also the opposite, very exclusive?
Particularly inclusive.
Or, yeah, what initiatives did the club have so it made you feel safe and welcome?
I mean, places that I felt always very safe and welcomed was Transtronica Festival and Pori in Geneva. But those are trans-led spaces.
Yeah.
So I walk in and I'm like, I'm home, bitch. Like, nobody can tell me nothing. So, yeah, maybe it's a very specific feeling of mine in those spaces.
Yeah.
Also, because I know the people leading the project, I'm somehow involved with Transtronica, for example. So,
But rather than that, what would you say, or what would be your red flags and green flags for a party?
I think people just need to mind their own lives. Like, just chill out. Don't bother nobody. Like, it's really simple.
Yeah.
Because I think I've been in certain spaces where I was necessarily not aware it was a very cis heteronormative crowd. And I didn't necessarily feel excluded or anything because everyone was just living their lives and I was living mine with a few friends and I had a good night. And there were already spaces that have been, I have one experience I'll never forget of a Flinta party in Bremen.
Oh, okay.
Where I was there with another non-binary friend, but I think I was maybe with 2 other people I saw at the party, the only AMAB people in the room. And I felt so watched from the moment I walked in, all the time, everywhere I was, there were so many pairs of eyes on me. I didn't even want to be there. I wasn't having fun.
Yeah.
I really had, like, me and my friend really had to push it through the night because we only had a train in the morning.
Oh, one of those nights.
And it was like cold times, you know. Bremerhaven, always cold.
Yeah.
It was one of those nights, you know. So it was like, and it was a Flinta space. So I don't know. I think the conversation shouldn't be caught up in identity politics, I think. I am still very down for clubs with a limited number of cis men.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Because not all men, but always a man.
Yeah.
Always a man.
I feel you.
So, yeah. But I think...
Even queer cis men?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes no difference. Kind of.
Sometimes the gays are bad.
Yeah.
The gays are tough sometimes. Love the gays. Fine.
Love you all, but
yeah.
it is what it is.
No, but that is the thing. Everyone is tough sometimes.
Yes.
You know? So, and that's why for me, it's not on necessarily who is entering the club. Is this person a fucking basic, nice human being and knows how to not annoy other people? That's all I need. I don't need it to be a certain race, ethnicity, or whatever, you know? Do I feel more comfortable in spaces where I know I'm amongst family?
Mm-hmm.
Because Transtronica and Cody for me are also this kind of spaces where I know the people working, where I know the people organizing, you know? And I have that in other spaces that are not only with trans people, but I think apart from being in the spaces I already feel safe in, because I know the team or because I work there myself, you just need people that, like, don't want to bother nobody. That's all. Get your drinks at the bar. Dance in your corner. Don't bother your friends.
And have fun.
And have fun. You know? It's a blur.
Exactly. Yeah, so you think the best somehow would be that clubs focus on creating their own communities rather than promoting the club itself to everybody, maybe? You know, like a club with a strong communication and community might work better than a club that is just open.
I think.
Because, like, by creating a community and having a strong communication, then you know how your audience might be or what your audience can expect coming to the club.
And you have enough loyal clients to keep yourself open.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
I think this is a good business model.
Yes.
I'm not so deep into the business, but I am a little bit of a business woman. Yeah. And I think this is a way to go, you know? I remember I was in my hometown when I started partying and going out and seeing DJs and having those experiences after clubbing a lot in São Paulo, because that was initially the only place to go. It was very nice to, like, also have it close to home, to not have to take a 2-hour train somewhere, you know? But to just... Oh, yeah, it's my friend is going to pick me up. We're going to get ready together, have dinner, and then go to the club after pre-drinking. You know, this kind of, I think that is the community also that I miss. Like, I have had very little experiences in Switzerland where people meet before to get ready and pre-drink to go to the club. Like, I've done that with my close friends or people I've lived with,
Yeah.
But it's not something that has been a common, and I don't know if it also changed with COVID.
Is it because they got the money to pay the drinks in the club? Because, for example,
Well, that's an experience I do not have. Because no, but I mean now, like there's many places that I go to that I don't pay because I'm working.
yeah, sure.
So I get the drinks for free also,
Yeah, but I
I
know.
just don't drink that much because of age.
Yeah, I know what you mean, because in Spain we also do that a lot. Like we meet up before going to the club, and then we end up going to the club like very late. But that's how Spain works, in the opening times. But yeah, like that community of meeting up before, drinking up, catching up, talking, connecting, and then going to the club is great. And I think here is not as much seen, maybe. There's still a little bit, obviously, because everyone likes to drink a bit before the club or whatever. But yeah, I think people go straight to drink there sometimes, yeah.
No, I don't understand that. I don't have the money for club drinking.
Entrances, drinking, like, hey, we have to watch out,
I'm very lucky to work in the nightlife.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I wouldn't have the bank account for it.
Same. So, life as a non-binary artist in electronic music, how has your identity influenced your career for good or for bad? And what unique challenges or opportunities have you encountered because of your identity? Tough one, eh?
Tough one, but I think I've been seen first as like a drag DJ, maybe. The first space that booked me, so the first time I played that I wasn't somehow co-organizing the event, was Queer Ball back in 2019. Yes, the first time. I think it was their Halloween. So I don't know. I started playing in my own queer events, and then started playing in other queer events. So I think me being part of that community allowed me access to flourish within it. And then eventually some bookings started showing up for more general clubs. I think now I'm at a point where I'm a bit more established in the general scene.
Yeah.
But I think, well, there's still like places that I've never played outside of a queer event,
For sure.
or a somewhat more open-minded leftist event.
Yeah.
So I think there are certain clubs that wouldn't necessarily see me as part of a normal lineup. Normal lineup, but a non-specific age.
Yeah.
Which is a pity.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's also fun to play for my community. I think I love to do after parties at balls. Because there's always, the girls go smoke a lot, and I'm many times play for a non-ballroom public. Because the girls are tired from the ball. But many times there's a moment where the girls will come in, and then like to be there with my community, with people that I see as like sisters, mothers, daughters, or kids in general. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of fulfillment. So I think it's so nice for me to remain very close to my community, even when working, to be able to provide my work also to my community. It's fab. I love to play, for example, playing Augustin last year, right before Nelly Furtado. Oh, amazing. A dream come true. Absurd. But in terms of public, like I didn't see many of my friends, like they didn't make it to Augustin, or they weren't planning to go to a festival, whatever. So it was a different public, a very fun public. Festival publics are normally very interested. I like that. They're very open to what you have to show. People just want to have a good time, and they're interested in listening what you bring. Or at least that has been my experience so far. But it is fun also for me a lot to be with my community as a public.
Yeah, 100%. I believe that. And any situationships where you felt like a token kind of thing, or like used to improve or increase inclusivity, but
Yeah.
without, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, and because I guess this is also the same for female DJs. You know, like there's like incremental exposure now of female DJs, and I think they are being sexualized in most of the scenes.
In most places, yes.
And I'm like, I feel sorry, but also good that they have the chance to do it, and if they enjoy it and they are okay with it, perfect. Everyone is free to do whatever. But yeah, like if you know, or if I feel like I'm being booked because of something or whatever, or they want to use me as a token, or
Yeah, I understand that, but I think also with female DJs, they're holding their own very well.
Huh.
I don't think they are in a position where they're only being sexualized, because I know of many of them also like organizing their own events and they have
100%.
together in collectives. So,
which is great. I mean, it's what we need more.
which is also not to say that the sexual harassment doesn't happen. I know of a few stories of friends that are horrifying. But I think, I don't know, for me, there's also a thing of like, I'm petty. You may have booked me as a token, but I will be the most talked about thing in your event.
Okay.
And you will realize you could have booked me just for the music just fine.
Yeah.
Because also many times I don't go to the club. I'm most of the time not paid enough to be at the club in drag. So if I'm dolled up, if I'm on a wig and stuff, it's probably because I was in the mood for it, or there was a fee that made sense. Or is in a specific event where I want to show up dolled up.
Yeah.
But many times when I'm playing at clubs that is for a more general public, that is not a queer-focused event, I don't feel the need. I don't know if I'll be safe enough to be fully dolled up and stuff. So I think there's also a level of like, if anyone is booking me as a token and then I show up not in a wig, not in high heels, maybe they are not even getting what they expected they would.
Yeah.
But I'm going to deliver on the music just fine.
So they can say anything,
So it's like my work and what you paid for, because you didn't pay for me to be here in drag. Otherwise, there would be a different fee.
Yeah. That's a pretty smart.
My work, I'm delivering. So you may see me as a token, but my work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
You saw I feature lineup just fine, if not better than other people you put as headliner.
Totally.
So
I like you find your ways to, bring it back to
because what people think of me doesn't alter who I am.
Absolutely.
So they might see me as a token. I know what I deliver, and I'll let them know. And that also, being a token or not, is a door that was opened. I'm going to come in, I'm going to do a first gig. There's places I've not gone back to,
Yeah.
So there's places that I took a look, I did one gig, and I was like, okay, that's not for me.
Get the money, go back home.
Exactly.
Never again. Yeah.
Exactly. But there's also the places where I come in once, maybe as a token, and then later on they were like, yeah, we would love to have you again and stuff. And I was like, it would be a pleasure to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else do we have here? What advice would you give to young people that is going through a similar process?
Day job,
huh?
Honestly, if you're Swiss or if you're established, I also hear that you can have a 60% day job. Even better, as immigrants, we would need 80%, but still.
Yeah.
Get a day job, have your basic needs paid.
Any advice in terms of confronting bookers or like not the right bookers?
If something feels off, if there's mixed signals, if you asked for something and this was not approached, if your question was dismissed, or if information comes very separated, like, hey, would you like to do that? And you're like, maybe, can you tell me about the fee? Oh, we can talk about that another time. I'm just checking availability. The fee is a very important thing for me, so why would you not say that? We're in a business transaction.
Yeah.
I am not. Many times people talk to you as if they are your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm sorry. I just met you, and I mean you no harm,
Mm-hmm.
but I just met you. You know, so and this is work for me.
No.
So I think this is a good thing to keep in mind. Don't take all opportunity that comes your way as something that, oh my God, they gave me this opportunity. If someone is coming after you, it's because you've shown something that they are interested in, you know, or you have something that they are interested in. So know your product, know what you're selling, know what's your value. So those are things that are important, I think, to keep track of when you're starting.
Listen up. Just now, yeah, I think we kind of touched most of the topics and everything we wanted to talk. Is there anything else you want to talk? Like, I will give you a moment after to promote yourself and stuff. But besides anything else you want to mention, maybe, I don't even know how long we've been recording it.
I don't know either. There's anything else I want to mention? People come out. The club will also not survive if there's no public. Come out, like, look out for your local scene in transformation, where I'm a part of the team now. We're really trying to change it up on the formats. And I know there's other spaces also trying that. There's some fab collectives in Bern specifically, but all of Switzerland. The ballroom scene is big, and we also need public, so show up for ballroom events. Everyone can show up for the event. You cannot necessarily walk. You're not for ballroom. But you can come and support and see the show, because baby, it's a show. If you've never been to a ball, baby, you don't know what you're missing. Like, it's a transformative experience. So people need to come out more. That would be the last thing I would like to say. People need to come out more, I think, so the club as public. So we build a community. Like, you need to come and be open also to meet people. Otherwise, it will knock at your door. I'm so sorry. We're still not doing like door-by-door clubbing. So you need to get up the sofa, put on a cute outfit, take a shower, before you come to the club, you know? Remember to be respectful, bring some money for the drinks, cash for the doors, many doors do cash only. And yeah, that's it. Be safe. Have your keys in a safe spot. Don't do too many drugs.
Don't lose your wallet.
Don't lose your wallet. Don't lose your phone.
Don't lose the ticket from the garderobe.
Take always a picture. Take always a picture of the ticket from the.
But what if they have no policy phone? You cannot.
You can still show it at the garderobe. I mean, they're not like normally the places that do no policy phone. You either have it in a locker, so if you're at the garderobe, you're gonna take it back, or you have it in
But sometimes they put the stickers.
Yeah.
You just take it off and
in the garderobe, I take a picture of it and put the sticker back on.
Yeah.
Be safe, honey.
Not a big deal.
And like, they're not gonna be mad at you. They can search your phone. There's no other pictures. You're just taking a picture of the, you know. So yeah.
Okay. Question for you: do you think Switzerland could be the new hub of electronic music? So, based on that, other cities or countries are overstimulated or over.
I think it already is in its own way.
I think it is, but it's pretty much undiscovered.
I think, for example, in terms of, or at least from what I see of following other people in the ballroom scene, I think for the size of the country, Switzerland has a lot of ballroom DJs.
Mm-hmm.
For being the small country that it is, also in terms of population, because it is probably roughly a similar size to the Netherlands, but the Netherlands is much more populated than Switzerland. So I think for the size that it has, it's actually very diverse already. You know, there is a lot of different things going on here. You have some bigger acts from outside coming to play here.
For sure.
You have Street Parade, which is quite famous in Europe. You have Zurich being...
I think it's the biggest after Love Parade even.
Yeah. And then you have Zurich being the city with the most physical clubs, not necessarily parties going on or like nightclubs in general, but it's the city with the most amount of clubs after Berlin, or used to be until a few years ago. And you don't have only the Zurich scene. You have a lot of stuff happening in Basel, in Cern, in Bern, in Fribourg, in Neuchâtel, Lausanne, in Geneva. Now you have Dolls on the Block happening in Ticino, which they're pushing on the amount of events. So I think there is a lot happening. I think it is already a hub for the size it has. it's being a hub also in the Swiss way. You know, I don't think it necessarily lacks anything to become a hub. We were talking about this before, and you mentioned the lack of like tourism for club culture, people coming here to see what's here. But I think also because Switzerland wasn't seen as a hub, a lot of the DJs that are very good from Switzerland already play outside. You know, I know a lot of my friends that are playing all the time in Germany or France, or some that play in Austria. You have lots of people that like are very well known in festivals outside, like Ginicata, for example. So I think that Switzerland exported a lot of DJs, and people wouldn't necessarily come here because Switzerland is just out like Celsius, and they can see some of the biggest playing outside. You know, so maybe that's why we don't have the tourism. But in terms of quality and like of the events and of the DJs that play in the scene, that are from the scene, I don't think Switzerland lacks anything.
No, I quite agree with that. Also, we are seeing a lot of new projects coming up, and also a lot of effort into safer spaces and awareness. So, which maybe many other countries are not doing. For example, Spain has also like a big cultural club culture, but it's mostly going towards the mainstream and the commercialization rather than the actual culture or the artists, you know. So it's basically who says the most, it's gonna get it. But I think Switzerland is growing great, and it has a very balanced scene somehow. Obviously improvable, but I think Berlin is even improvable and more nowadays. So yeah, Switzerland as the next hub of electronic music.
Why not? Why not?
So I think with this we should finalize this first episode. You have your spot now to promote your upcoming things and don't miss Hausvrau next events or whatever.
Well, so for events, I think the easiest is to keep look to my Instagram. That's mostly where I post the stuff. Although I'm trying to get out the app, I'm probably gonna use it still for work. I have a few things coming up in March and April already, a few bookings, a few very nice ones until summer. And on the 11th of April, I have a performance, Dam Centrale, that I think from a short residency I'm doing there. And probably on the same night, I'll be doing a release party of my first EP. It's probably going to be on my Bandcamp and SoundCloud on the 15th of April. But on the 11th of April, there's the showcase at Dam Centrale, and then the EP release in Transformation. So
what can you tell us about this EP shortly?
This was the first set of tracks I ever produced out of scratch, not making an edit, back in 2019. So there was a lot of work on them to make them more current to what I play today. But it is the first ever tracks I produced, and now reworked, remixed, remastered. And yeah, I'm very excited about it. There's also a bit of singing for myself in there. So yeah. I think it's gonna be hella.
Not surprising. You do. So yeah, I think we're gonna leave it over here. Write on the comments what you think about the topics that we discussed and what is your opinion about them. And then we can slowly create a community between all and discuss things, and hopefully create a better club scene or nightlife. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It was an absolute pleasure, and I had a lot of fun actually.
Thank you.
Like at the beginning, I was a bit like, because I was checking the program if everything was right. You know, I'm not really paying attention to everything at the same time. But yeah, I had fun. I was actually had fun, and I think this episode is gonna be lovely, and people is gonna love it.
I hope so.
So, ciao.
Ciao.